So, so far, we've discussed Brazilian music, discussed Japanese language, kayaking. So now let's talk about subjects a little bit more taboo. Let's talk about sex. Now, sex is something that we all have done maybe, and it's very enjoyable. There's consequences to this. There's good ones, there's bad consequences. Now, when you have intercourse, it brings two people closer together in a very intimate way. It brings kids. However, when you do have unprotected sex, there's also negative consequences. We run the risk of getting sexually transmitted diseases. Now, nowadays, with advances in medicine, there's medications. So if you do get into sexually transmitted diseases, it's okay. Go to your doctor, take care of it. However, out of all the diseases, there is one that there is no cure for. That's HIV, human immunodeficiency virus. Now, what does that do? Well, we have our own cells. We have our CD4s. Those are our good cells that we have inside our body. Now, when the virus enters our body, it piggybacks and jumps on our good cells. Then from there, it goes, it duplicates, and then it keeps producing more cells, but now they're being produced as infected cells. So, you better see it. This here is a CD4 cell. This is our good cell that we have. This is the virus. The viruses jump onto our cells with these little receptors. They connect, and then they duplicate, and they get transmitted. Or, you better see it, on a step-by-step process, this is how it starts. We have our CD4 cells and our virus. Then, from there, the virus sees that we have good cells that it needs in order for it to recreate. So it's inside our system. After that, it says, I gotta disguise myself. So the virus disguises itself and it pretends to be a good cell. That way the body will accept it. Once it is accepted, it starts to mess with our system. Now our immune system starts developing more viruses, more cells, but this time our cells are infected. Now they're bad cells. Then they start going and traveling, they start fighting, they start looking for more good cells so they can start jumping more on our cells, therefore contaminating our body. Now, how is HIV transmitted? Well, there's many ways. Today we'll focus on two. The most common ones, which is unprotected sex and intravenous drug users, sharing of needles. People that use drugs and they share their needles. Now, unprotected sex, when you have unprotected sex, doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get infected, but yes, your chances are much greater. Why? Because HIV travels through the body fluids. It goes through blood, semen, vaginal secretions, and breast milk. So it's very important, and depending on the situation, if you're a mother, you've got to think about if you're going to breastfeed if you're clean. Now, transmission occurs once the fluid actually comes into contact with the bloodstream. So this can happen through the intercourse. It can happen through the tip of the penis, cuts, sores, stuff like that. You can't just whisper get close to somebody and get transmitted. It doesn't work like that. You can't give somebody a handshake and then get transmitted. It doesn't work like that. There has to be actual contact with liquid and body fluids. Now, who is at risk to get HIV? Well, everybody that's sexually active is at risk if you're not taking care of yourself. However, there are people that are at higher risk. Well, who is this? This is MSM, men who sleep with men. Now, nowadays, men who sleep with men are equivalent to 4% of the United States. So in the whole United States, only 4% are men who sleep with men. However, out of all new infections, 78% of those people are MSM. So it's a small circle, but there is a little pattern. MSM have been, according to the CDC, MSM are 44 times higher than heterosexual men. MSM are 40% higher than women. Now, sad story is that over 57% of all infections happen to be people under the age of 34. All of us here. 1 in 6, according to the CDC, are infected. So that's something that it is important. Why? Why is it important that we know this? Because still nowadays, even as advanced as medicine has become, there's still every year 50,000 new infections occurring. 15,000 people roughly die every year from AIDS. Now, 15,000 dying, 50,000 new infections. We still have a problem. Now, what else happens? What happens to us? What happens to our body when we get infected? Well, it is affecting our immune system. It affects our immune system directly. And when that happens, it leaves our body weak. People that have healthy immune systems, you can't fight off a cold. You can't fight off flus if your body's compromised with HIV. It's not that same. It's not the same. Your body's not as strong. Your body's constantly fighting the HIV virus, making it difficult for you to fight HIV and the flu system. Therefore, these are called opportunistic infections. Opportunistic infections take advantage that our system is weak. Therefore, it's much easier to get contaminated. For example, we'll talk about 3 types of infections that take advantage of our immune system when it's weak. First one, bacterial infections. You guys know what tuberculosis is. And if you don't, well, tuberculosis is a very dangerous disease, especially when people that have HIV. Why? Because something as a little sneeze, cough, you can be contaminated with TB. However, with HIV patients, it's a lot more difficult to diagnose TB, but it's far more aggressive in an HIV infected person. Therefore, it's a very dangerous situation. Fungal infections, Candida. Candida is a fungal infection that is basically mucus overload. A normal person, we all have mucus, but our body controls it. It knows how much to let go, how much to not to keep in. However, when you have HIV and you get Candida, it's mucus overload. Your body doesn't know how much mucus it has. Therefore, the major problems affected, or the major parts affected, is the mouth, esophagus, and for the ladies, it's in the vagina. However, when you have Candida in the mouth and esophagus, it becomes very extremely painful to swallow and to eat. And with the females, you start getting itching, burning, and you even get some discharge along with it. Another type of opportunistic infection is viral infections. What we mean by viral infection, we mean cancers, lymphoma, the inflammation of the lymph nodes. We get colon cancers, cervical cancers, CMV, cytomegalovirus, which affects your eyes. Now, if you have that, the cells behind your eyes, they start getting inflamed, causing to visual changes and blindness. And we're talking about like rapidly. You can start seeing things in your eyes. You can start seeing like little floaters, what we call floaters, like you start seeing those spots, and it can be a matter of weeks, and you'll be blind. That's serious. Now, so far, since the epidemic of AIDS, there's been roughly about 636,000 deaths that have occurred, according to the CDC. But we're not there yet. We're not there yet. Now, AMFAR is the Foundation of AIDS Research. They stated that in 1990, there was twice as many more deaths than there were in the Vietnam War, just from people from AIDS. In 1995, New York Times reported that the leading cause of death between people of ages 25 to 44 was because of AIDS. However, there is some good side to this. In 1996, combination therapy was available, which decreased the number of deaths by 23%. So in conclusion, this is important because there are advances in medicine. There are new ways to prevent, or there are ways to prevent it. Once you have it forever. That's why it's such an epidemic, because there is no cure for AIDS. However, there are preventative measures. And the easiest way to prevent is just by simply wearing a condom. Now, time permitted, I don't have a chance to go, but there will be some condoms by the door. And there will also be some pamphlets in case you guys have any more questions. And if you guys do have any more questions, I'll be happy to answer them as well.